And it's 5:30, so we will call this meeting or this workshop to order. You're welcome. And we'll start off with item number 1 on the agenda, which would be probably just a formality of the meeting dates for next year.
Yes, so I'll have a legislative memo available for you, but basically it's very similar to this year. The only months that were adjusted out of the regularly scheduled are the ones with the holidays in them, which is Thanksgiving and Christmas. So once again, I did what you all asked last year, is we just basically made the workshop and the meeting a week apart. So it puts a little more pressure on us to get it produced, but it's not a big deal. So in November, it would be the 12th would be the workshop, and the 19th would be the meeting date, and the 10th and the 17th in December would be the workshop and the meeting date. Everything else is running as indicated in our code of ordinances. So we're all good as far as that goes. Also, all the holidays are listed off to the right for that legislative memo, so you'll know how the holidays impacted, making sure that we didn't overlap on one or the other. Luckily, most of the holidays are Mondays or Fridays, so it doesn't really impact our Thursdays. Any questions?
No questions? Move on to item number 2 then, 2026 community outreach events.
So we have the dates set for next year for the events. I'll run through them real quick and then I'll provide them to you. But okay. March 28th will be the Easter egg hunt. May 16th will be the Nerf War. July 4th is obviously July 4th. The Fall Festival will be September 19th. The Trunk or Treat will be October 23rd.
No,
it's the Friday before.
Well, we're going to do the 30th, the day before.
Okay. I thought we was doing
that was the day before.
And then November 30th, that first Monday after Thanksgiving for the tree lighting. And then obviously the Christmas parade December 12th and the Santa Run on December 19th.
Okay, you have a back to school splash on
yes.
the old one.
Which one was?
And you also have a Veterans Day event on the old schedule. So if you
want to
I'll
tell you the back to school splash one. That's the one after.
And then you can speak on the veterans too, because that one's been worked on to death.
Okay, so the back to school splash is going to be August. No, that was not, because that's tax-free weekend. It's going to be July 25th.
Okay. And you're going to provide just that way we can put it together in a similar to legislative memo. It'll make it easier to read. If you provide the dates to me, I'll just put it all together for y'all.
No, you're fine. I'll send them to you after this. In regards to the Veterans Day event, we had a really hard time this year trying to figure out something, one, because of the day that it is, that it falls on, and then the weather, because car shows, we couldn't get anybody that would want to do a car show because antique people don't like to bring their antique cars out, I guess, in the wintertime.
Can't say I blame you.
I don't know, I can't either. I mean, they're like, well, you just never know how the weather is.
Yep.
Obviously working with the armory is like pulling tooth and nails sometimes because they change hands so much. So next year is going to have to be one of those that we're just going to have to really outweigh that one, just because of the time of year it is and the lack of things that we can do, because the majority of our events are all of our events are outside, and we try and do them during the time frame when it's not like so cold.
Can we do Veterans Day at the park, at the War Memorial?
It's just trying to figure out what we're doing.
Who you're getting, what you're doing, like.
Can we just get the school's color guard to come up and present the flags? Or the colors?
I mean, you could, so we're just trying to figure out, like, what are we doing? You know, like, are we having a full-blown event because that's what the outreach committee is, or are we having just a 15-minute run of something? Because schools are also out that day. No, they're not. They weren't this year. But they also have their presentations that they're doing at the schools, because all the schools do Veterans Day things. So the color guards are going on to the middle schools, to the elementary school, and then they do one at the high school. It's just this year it was really hard to find anything that was available or something to get people out. It's hard to get the armory, again, because they change hands so much.
There's also the big one that they do in Rogersville at the town square. So it's like there's a lot of stuff already going on that day of pre-existing, pre-scheduled. So it's like we'd have to find a time within. I mean, it's something that could still, I wouldn't want to put it out there as an advertised event if like Alderman Sugar said, if it's going to be something that's like a 15-minute ceremony, that could be something more set later and advertised separate. I wouldn't consider that to be like an event that you're actually planning on having as a budget line item or spending if you're trying to just recruit local organizations.
Do we have a VFW or someone here locally in
There's
Mount
one in
Carmel?
Churchill.
There's one in not in
Nothing
Mount
in Mount
Carmel.
Carmel.
There's one church. There's a VFW in Churchill.
And then one in Rogersville. I think there's only 2 in the county.
So if what I would say is instead of the outreach committee or the town trying to do something, maybe participating if those folks chose to do something, because there's so many events going on that day. I mean, from
It's hard.
one end to the other of Tri-Cities, there's events everywhere. So I don't think that it's, not being respectful. I just think that you run into critical mass for availability of
Well, and our employees
things
are
and
off
people.
that day, so we have to pay for employees that day too when
Correct.
they come in. So those are kind of things that.
But whatever y'all would like to do, we can navigate that. Just tell me what your desire is. I tend to agree with you though. There are opportunities locally elsewhere that have been foundational and have been going on for a long time. So it may be better for us to marshal our resources into the events that we have that serve our citizens. Not that we don't have veterans and things like that in our town, but it's not a sign of disrespect. It's a fact that they can't be everywhere either.
Right.
And they're gonna make a choice to maybe go to Rogersville or to Kingsport or whoever bigger that is hosting an event.
And that's just the truth of it is they'll go to the bigger event. Like your state officials, federal officials, for example, will be at the one in Rogersville and the one in Kingsport, and there's not going to be, it's a.
And we're showing our respect with the flag we put out every year.
Yes.
Right.
I would rather go see it done as advertised. If there is something that comes to be closer to next year at that time, advertise it separate and not with the outreach, since I don't think it would be much more as more of the outreach putting it on.
Right.
It would be the town itself.
Yeah.
In the same way that something was put together for Officer Lindsay that we had a good turnout for. We could do that with a longer scheduled time and likely see the same result. So it's if you all continue to have something that you're able to find to put together, totally entertain it, but don't want to put it in this advertised list that we're trying to get out in print multiple places for the year if we don't have a solid plan.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody good with that?
Is there anybody that? Okay. Very good.
And with some of the events also, might see some changes with just trying to cut some expenditures, feedback from stuff that we've learned through the process. Jason brought out some equipment for the Halloween, Jason and Mitch and people, and I think that was a really big response from that. And so, like with the back to school thing, might look at more merging that into more of a touch-a-truck type thing and trying to use some of our own resources that we have to provide some different things, but just continuing to keep that a feedback-driven process. So if no more discussion on that, we'll move on to the budget amendment, item number 3.
So the update that Tyler gave me was basically the budget amendment will be dealing with some law and auto adjustments to areas we received new grant money and the money from the sale of the fire truck. And also some adjustment for expenditures. So all of that will be contained in the legislative memo coming forward to you with a breakdown of each one. I apologize, I can't give you a better breakdown right now.
But we did sell the fire truck.
Yesterday,
Sweet.
Can you tell what
28,000.
that's significantly more than we would have
Yeah.
got?
What we would have got on gov deals. And we didn't sell it through the broker agreement. This was through a connection of mine. That got me in touch with a department that was looking for one. So we sold outside of the broker agreement, so we don't have to pay that 10% either.
Uh-huh.
Good job.
Sweet.
So that's all.
Sure,
Thank you.
In
Yeah.
regards to
Glad it
the,
worked out.
You did a good job all the way around.
in the regards to the budget amendment, is there anything in there, did Jason ever come back in regards to equipment and what we talked about, using money instead of the flagpole for the, something to,
The answer is no. We
Okay.
haven't got to that place yet.
that's fine.
So,
I was just asking.
the next one up is the financial update. Tyler and I went through the budget, and Tyler, so we have a sewer loan that we've been paying on for a very long time apparently. We're gonna pay that loan off. It's $84,000 is the balance, but it's another 2 years down the road of interest and accruals. We can pay it off, and then we can put our money into LGIP and earn interest instead of paying down debt. So we're gonna pay the debt off, and that way we're not carrying that interest forward for the next year or two. So,
That was been my question for the last 3 years.
okay, well, we're fixing that. So
If it's
that-
such a low amount, why not just pay it off?
Right, and we're in a position to be able to do that. So, that was the recommendation from Tyler, and we wanted to bring it to the workshop and kind of spitball it a little bit and talk about it. If there's any dissenting ideas, please let me know. But the goal will be for us to come forward with a legislative memo kind of addressing that as well. We're gonna get out of the debt business for that. So,
Any questions about that? That'll take us into item number 5, recycling partnership with Sullivan County Solid Waste.
So I know that Vice Mayor Bear has actually talked about this quite a bit since I've been here. And I know that other members of the board have also wanted us to look into this. So Jason and Tyler had a meeting with the Sullivan County folks, and we're in a position where we can receive containers from them for free. But what we'll do is we'll establish a convenience center, and it will be somewhere between police and fire's facility with a separate access area off of Cherry Street.
The field.
Yes.
The open field between the school and
Oh, okay.
Cherry Street. basically.
So but we're responsible for keeping it clean and things like that. They'll pick it up, they'll take the containers, that kind of stuff. But that'll be a convenience center for recycling. It won't be curbside or any of that. So,
That'd be awesome though.
yeah, but it puts us in a good place. The only obligation we have is to, one, prepare the area. So the estimate on that is about 75 to 80,000. Tyler believes that we can address that through existing budget areas, so we're gonna do that.
What kind of recycling is it gonna be?
I can't tell you that. I'm guessing it's paper products and things like that. I can't imagine it's a lot of plastics or glass,
Cardboard.
but
Yeah, a lot
What's
of
that?
Amazon
Like
boxes.
cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. My guess is it's gonna be cardboard and paper products as a primary, so.
Okay.
If it's similar to the one that they have on industry, it's cardboard, paper, and glass.
I don't know the detail of it though, so I don't wanna go out on a limb and tell you yes or no. But we'll be able to provide that when we come to you at the meeting. It'll be in the document that'll talk about what specifically will be going there.
That's way
As
better
long
than
as we
having
have
to write
cardboard, I'm
something.
happy.
All right.
All right, any other questions about that? We'll see that more of that at the figures of that at the meeting, and we'll move us into item number 6, PEP cybersecurity grant.
So the cybersecurity grant is an opportunity for us to get reimbursed for some of our IT costs that are related to cybersecurity. We've obviously done a lot of things to try and improve our server and some of those things and keep it from being easily hackable, I'll say that. But now we found out that this PEP, Public Entity Partners cybersecurity grant, can actually give us money back for what we've already expended. So
That's sweet.
we would like to certainly apply for that.
Okay.
And I gotta tell you, Tyler is on top of all of this as far as the financial side goes. I couldn't be happier with the work that he does. You know, he has put the town in a really good position to thrive financially. And it's because of these types of things, of making adjustments here, making adjustments there. So when you see him, please thank him for what he does, because he does well.
Anybody have any further questions about that? Take us into item number 7, update from TDOT on 11W intersections.
So after our conversation back a couple months ago where we talked about 11W traffic and accidents and things like that, Tyler immediately reached out to TDOT and asked some questions. The feedback we got is that they completed a study and recommended we install traffic warning signs at each intersection. Traffic warning signs like stop traffic ahead, that type of stuff. They're also willing to do a traffic count at either Independence or Kaywood. They won't do both, so we've got to pick one or the other. It is up to us to decide which intersection we would like for them to do the study on. Something that's bouncing around in my head, and I'll use Independence as an example. When people are turning off of 11W onto Independence, they come to that 3-way stop sign. I'm not sure why it's a 3-way stop sign or a 4-way stop sign, quite honestly. Should be a 3-way stop sign, because the people coming off the highway should be able to continue through the intersection, turn left, turn right without impediment, because what happens is they get backed up out onto and that's where the accidents come from.
It's the same thing that was done in Inglewood.
Kinda like Builder's Way?
Builders at Inglewood, it used to be 4-way, now it's 3-way.
And the same would benefit.
That's a mess down there too. And they're going, that's, what you're talking about's gonna create a mess right up there.
But the answer is, the people coming off the highway, it's no different than if you come off the interstate. When you get backed up on an interstate, it causes problems because that's a high-speed highway out there. So the problem is, if they created a breakdown lane for people to turn right off of there, that wouldn't be an issue. The people turning across aren't generally the problem. It's the people that back up onto the highway that end up getting rear-ended or causing a swerve maneuver that hits somebody in another lane.
Makes sense.
So
It'd be kind of like turning into AutoZone there, we just automatically go in and you don't have
right,
to.
and then they dive through.
Yeah.
So now here's the deal: when you change a traffic pattern, it takes a little bit to make sure that everybody gets on board and understands, and all of that has to be advance noticed, and it has to go through a traffic engineering process. So maybe a traffic engineer disagrees, but I would have a hard time understanding why they would disagree when you have the same intersection down at the end of the town, and that was their solution to keep people from backing up. They actually have a traffic light there though. We don't have a traffic light in Independence.
There's a
Yeah.
turn lane there.
Yeah. So I say all that to say, that will be one of the questions I will ask under this conversation with TDOT about, hey, why do we have a 4-way stop there? So
With the traffic study that they're willing to do, and when we try to choose the intersection of where we were willing to look at having that done, what would their outcome, I mean, based off the result of the traffic study, is it possible that they would take over and changing, installing
it'd be possible they'd install a light. It'd be possible.
turn lane?
Yeah, there'd be.
But then we're more bound. Are we more bound to the results of the study from a liabilities perspective? Would we be?
They're actually bound by the study, not us.
No. Okay.
The town doesn't build the highway out there. That's
Right.
That's TDOT.
Right. That's TDOT.
So
that's where if they would
They would
be
have
a
to answer for
possibility-
it.
Right. So could there be a possibility that they would make changes to 11W? I guess would be the point, based off the traffic study.
I hate to say this, but generally they don't change the highway. They change the surrounding
Surrounding
streets.
area, yeah.
Generally, they don't change the highway configurations, other than maybe adding a breakdown lane for turning. But I don't know what that does to drainage, and there's a lot of dynamic that has to come together in that conversation. So if they added that, how far out do they make it? How deep of cars would they allow? What's peak time? What is that? And that's where the car count thing comes into play. For them is, how many people are turning right when they turn off the highway there, how many turn left, and how many go straight. So when they do the traffic study, all of those things will be defined to say, hey, this person's doing a U-turn, this person's going right, and this person's going the other way. So
I think it's worth pursuing the traffic study if with TDOT for sure.
I would
Is there
prefer
a-
it be on Independence versus Kaywood, just because this is where the majority of the issues
I would
are.
agree with that as
What's
well.
Kaywood at?
Up there where O'Reilly's and
Straight
stuff.
up
Gas-
the side of Raleigh.
Yeah.
Haywood's the one that's by the gas company.
Yeah.
Independence is the one that's the most, I feel like I get the most, have been contacted the
Yeah.
most about, with incidents and,
Yeah, I mean, I would generally, I mean, I could pull the numbers, and I would think we respond on probably 10 to 12 a year there. But now that's not counting no injuries, accidents, that would just be the police department.
I mean, when they put the red lights in, everybody start turning off Independence, just bypass the
Yeah.
red lights, and then they put the story, and that made even more traffic there.
Yeah, that is true.
anybody have any more, discussion or feedback on that?
When you change Independence, you're just gonna push everybody down to Kaywood.
That's exactly right.
Right.
That's all it's gonna do.
And-
That's the reason Independence is busy, cause
Right.
they put a red light here, push everything down to there.
Yep. And,
I'll
and
take it back.
The breakdown lane would be expanding that would be the best solution if it's the drainage works and all that, but we have no control over that.
and that's their choice.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So it's like we have to navigate what's within our control versus what they might do. But I think if we at least had the traffic study done, that would let us make our case to them a little bit better.
I agree with you.
And they have the turn lane at Kaywood, so
Right.
that's why I'd rather turn at Kaywood.
And you can
than
see the
come
red
down.
light. You have the hill right here.
I'd rather turn off at Kaywood than I would Independence.
Anybody have anything else?
I do have a few other things that I want to walk on. Obviously, they didn't make their way onto the conversation point. So, first thing is the Infomark, our wastewater plant folks have completed their inventory on our facility and our lift stations. So I am evaluating that now. I will have a report for you all in the future to kind of talk that through. But it's basically a state of our equipment and what needs to be looked at and what needs to be done. We are taking some immediate action on some of these things because they require immediate action. But I got to tell you, they're doing a great job for us too. The regional folks are in town inventorying all of the grinder pumps on our residential homes. So we'll have a good idea of how many we have, where they're at, all of that specificity that didn't exist before I got here. So that way we'll have an inventory and we'll be able to kind of know how many we actually have. Because it's somewhere between 700 and 800. So
Right.
that's a big range. So, any questions on that?
Are they also looking, when they're doing their checks of the residential pumps, if we can do away with the residential pump, if it's...
They're not finding many that they can, and one of the things they said is if there's a grinder pump already installed, they would recommend not removing it because the gravity fed side of that may not be intact. It's not something you can eyeball and say, unless it's a clear downhill. So they haven't found a whole lot of that, is what I'll tell you. Any other questions?
Nothing that you can solve.
That's probably true.
I have questions, but nothing that you can answer.
You all were provided a copy of a letter from the Hawkins County Emergency Communications District. We will be going to a meeting next week. Apparently this was tried last year around the same, 24th. 24. So, the conversation is about communities chipping in to fund the Emergency Communications District. I will tell you that my professional recommendation and thoughts on that are that the county does collect county property taxes, and it is in their wheelhouse. Now, the Hawkins County Emergency Communication District is a quasi-governmental agency founded by the county under TCA. But I say all that to say, it's about prioritizing spending of the tax dollars that are collected on essential services. So I say all that to say I don't think that it is right that our community members should be paying for a service more than once. And I believe that that would put them in a position where they're paying more than once.
Mhm.
So, unless someone has an opposition to that, that will be my stance as I go to represent the town at that meeting. Mitch will be going with me, to make sure, because he's got history with it. But, and it's not a town versus county battle. It's just about, they get to choose what they spend their money on. And if they're spending their money on things that are not essential services, then they have to make choices. Just like you all make choices every day about how we spend our town dollars and what we pay for and what we don't. So that's the beauty of that process. And it just seems like they got their hand out, all of these quasi-governmental or not-for-profits that are doing services for the county have their hand out for funding mechanisms from the citizens who are already paying for that. So
Twice.
Yes.
You already pay for it.
yeah, you
twice.
already pay for it twice.
You
For your cell
you
phone?
pay cell phone tax
Yes.
and your county tax.
Yep.
Yes. So
So I do want to ask, because this has been something that I've been told, or have heard, whatever, is that if we wouldn't do it, that they could stop dispatching calls for our, is that legal?
They're required by TCA code to do something with the call. They can't answer a 911 call and do nothing. Now, that something is up for debate. They can transfer it, they can dispatch it, and then that's it. They don't offer any support from there. Those are really the two options. But from my understanding, that legally they can do that. We're doing some more research on it, but they could.
Because that would put cities responsible for hiring a dispatch person, which is money that some of these cities do not have.
And they know that.
Yeah, which is crap.
that there's no compelling legislation that I can see, and obviously I'm not an attorney, but I do know how to read.
Because that's blackmail, in my opinion.
TCA is pretty clear that the funding mechanism can be used to fund employment and dispatchers and facilities for dispatching and consoles and all of those things. So it's clear that the legislature has made it where their intent is you answer 911 call, you either transfer it. If there's nowhere to transfer it, we're not a primary public safety access point for 911 calls.
Right.
So they jumped on that wagon to be that. I've come from systems where municipalities are able to step up and be that PSAP. As a town of 5,500 people, I would never recommend that to you because the cost of doing that would far outweigh the benefit that would be provided.
And we're already paying for it.
Correct. So, this is very similar to what we went through a few months back with the EMS conversation. And I will tell you that the last time this came up, there was a very well-worded letter that came from Mount Carmel, Churchill, and Burgoynesville that asked for specific information very similar to what I did with EMS, and it changed, and it dropped. So I will probably pursue that same level of evaluation, because if you're asking me to pay for something, then I need to understand that my residents aren't paying for it twice, or 3 times, or 4 times by the time we're done with it.
Well, and I would want to make sure too that we're not paying more than a different municipality is. Like, is it based off the average call
The
volume?
last time it came about, it was based off of population.
Yeah.
So you should go off call volume, in my opinion. I mean,
That's what the equation they used was.
How much do y'all help? Y'all do, the fire department. I know y'all help a lot when y'all go on the calls instead of the EMS.
Well, we're just talking about dispatch right now. So
Okay.
the EMS side is
Sorry.
not a.
That's not on the table.
Yeah, that's not on
At
the table
moment.
right now.
I'm
This
sure
is
it'll
just
come
about
up.
dispatch, and we don't do anything with dispatch other than take the call and go respond to it and close out the call, right?
Do what? I'm sorry.
We just respond and close out the call. We don't do any dispatching from our fire station or the police
No,
station
no.
at all. We don't participate in any of that, nor will we, as long as I'm your manager, because I just don't think that
It's not feasible.
it's not good
No.
use of our personnel we need them out in the street doing the work, so,
And that'd be a 24-hour job too, wouldn't it?
yes.
So you'd have to have at least 3 employees.
4.
Yeah, you need
4.5.
4.2 actually to cover 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that doesn't include any vacation. So now you're talking about a 20% vacancy rate, so you really need about 6 people for one by the time you're done.
Be
For
just like
like-
another police department, wouldn't it?
That's not counting all the equipment it costs.
Correct.
Right, and the training and all that.
Yes, and the repeat training and refresher training that's required along the way. So it's an expensive business to get into. So we'll be going to that on the 19th. Stay tuned. The last thing I wanted to talk about is I will be myself and I believe Tyler will be attending Hawkins County, Tennessee Financial Wellness Scorecard Summit from the State Treasurer Monday, November 17th in Rogersville. So they're coming in and they're doing a full program about the Financial Wellness Scorecard Summit for Hawkins County. So
Out of curiosity, what time is that?
10 to 1:30. And it's at the Occasions on the Square in Rogersville.
Okay.
So I RSVP'd for myself. I sent it to Tyler. I wasn't sure of his schedule. I don't know if he's going or not, but I will definitely be there. I think that's it. I apologize for the walk-ons, but I think those were important things to bring up to y'all.
Does anybody else have anything to add?
I got something I want to say.
Go ahead.
I want to take this and move it back to status quo, the way it was. This whole table goes back to the way it was.
I don't understand what you just said.
He doesn't like the
Take the
sitting
table and the chairs back to status quo. We had right over there. You guys were sitting here. This ain't nothing but a jam over here. It ain't that hard to do.
Okay? I'll look for a consensus of the board.
Ask for a vote.
Not tonight. I'll ask for a consensus tonight.
Well,
We can't vote at a workshop.
I understand that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would prefer the old setup.
Okay?
Is there anybody
I don't know.
against it?
We want to see what it's going to do to the logistics of all the, because I don't want to spend any more money to rearrange that if we have.
Well, we have wires and cables that'll have to be
Right.
rerouted and
Yeah.
such.
It won't hurt nothing to have that TV right there and this one right here.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
Talking
talking about
about
the
this.
The
speaker
mics and stuff.
systems and the table that are wired from that wall. So,
It can be done very easily.
I will bring it to Tyler so he can talk to the vendor and find out if that's an ability and what it'll cost us. So,
Anything else?
anything else?
One, two.
You can just put it up there and
Jim,
Yes, sir.
2 things.
So how are you?
they don't get
Yes,
it.
sir.
One, University of
Let's hope
Tennessee
you
No,
grab
I
some
was like, I'm good.
I need to,
a project or program called
No, because
TTAP,
it's
Tennessee
okay.
Transportation
I mean, if I'm down there, I might be,
Program.
I might be like they are.
Yeah.
For whichever one the state does not
Oh, yeah,
do,
where we at on that?
TDOT does not do.
Wait on dude.
They
Let's go.
provide
This
transportation
has to
plans.
change
That's their, that's
this
their
word, the
program. It's
spacing.
called TTAP.
If you
Okay.
put commitment first.
The
so
second thing is
Cool.
911
Space better. I want us to tell them,
in
I want to see
Hawkins
what it looks
County
like
is a
with this
direct
color on the
dispatch.
words.
Yes, I know.
That's statutory, and the requirements of a direct dispatch are set out in the statute.
That's why I said what I said, is I believe that it's, I believe